Hi everyone, welcome back to Grandpa Mark's Hobbies and a build update of my AMT 1967 Shelby GT-350 kit. I'm having a blast here. Details are everywhere in this kit. I brought the body back over just to show you one more time. It's still hardening up. I'm not going to put the decals on it just yet. So let's get it out the way before I scratch it. Duke, you got to move. The chassis, the framework is semi-glossed. The gas tank, I got the aluminum painted on it. I will run a hole in here and run my gas lines to it. The brake lines I'll run up here. But I got some ideas here for the headlights. You know, I ran headlights in the last two builds I've done. And I think I want to do them with this. But I think, let me bring this body back over here. I think I want to do it a little bit different. We got the 4 headlights up front. And what I want to do is I want to have all 4 of these lit. But I also want to have these taillights lit. And I think that I'm not going to have a whole ton of room in this trunk to drop this battery pack in here and have those taillights all at the same time. There's just not going to be enough room in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a base for this kit. It's the first time I've done this on a car. I've always done it. I've done it a few times on my Star Wars, my Millennium Falcon, my ATST, and a few other Star Wars kits I've done it to. But I haven't done a base for this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run those wires down here and over. And I'm going to try to squeeze them in the body, you know, up on top here, in between the body and the chassis. Run them around the back here. And I'm going to literally drill through the tire so that it comes through the top part of the tire and out the bottom of the tire into the base. And that way it'll sit on the base this way and be powered off to the side. And that way I can use a USB charger to power this up instead of running it on a battery. And you can plug it in and set it up to where the lights stay on forever that way. And I'll do a video on this for sure on how I do that, because it is going to be a little bit in depth. I mean, I just did the video on how I run the headlights on the 29, but this is going to be different just because of where I'm going to route them. And what I think I'm going to do is I got to look. I can't remember if these blink, the turn signals blink out. You know what I mean? When you turn the turn signal on, if it goes blink, 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 blink across the lights. If it does, I think I'll do a little Arduino computer chip on that, and I will program it to where those lights, when you push a button on the base, it'll turn on the turn signals one side or the other and make those things blink like that. Because without the battery pack in the trunk, I can get away with putting 3 LEDs in there. I'll just have to make a division. I'll probably use not bare metal foil, but the aluminum tape to divide up the 3 sections of taillights. But that's that, and that's in the future, because we still got a long way to go here. You can see I got 9 clothespins with my solder on them. I am getting ready to put the little rings on there for the boots, and then we'll paint these up and we'll wire the engine. I am sorry, Chandler, or Tim. So let me get these out of the way, because I want to show you this engine. A lot of detail in this guy. I mean, it's really a decent engine. I drilled the holes in here for the spark plugs on both sides. I also drilled the hole in the, let me grab a pointer here. I drilled the hole right here in the distributor for the vacuum advance. I drilled a hole down in the base of the carburetor for the vacuum advance. I drilled a hole in both sides of the bowl for the fuel line. I'm going to run it up. I'll break it and come here and come here. And the other thing I have to do is I have to fudge in underneath the bottom of the carburetor, I'm going to fudge in a heater hose that comes up, and it'll come up and over, and I'll glue it right to this and drop it back down, and I'll run it back to the back here, because every one I've seen, it's like they use the heater hose to warm up the choke in the morning, to warm this carburetor up, and they run it down and out the back, and it is attached right in here. So I'm going to do the same thing to that. I painted the orange cap on top of the coil. We just went with a black distributor cap, and then I panel lined everything to give it that highlight that I like. It really shows off even these little bolt heads all the way around on the intake. Like I said, this is a nice setup. I tried to fit the radiator hose in here just to make sure everything lined up, and it did. I was kind of nervous about that. The other thing I'll have to do is I'll have to figure out the linkage for this side. Not a lot of detail on this carburetor. Most of it will be covered up anyhow, but I do want to have it in there, at least have the return spring to where you can see it and things like that. We're not going to get heavy into the linkage on this because it is going to be hidden, but I want enough in there to where it has some interest to it. So I did paint the fuel filter, the flat aluminum. I've seen a bunch of pictures of them where they come flat aluminum. I thought it was supposed to be clear at first, but it's not. So there's the engine. The transmission, I'm impressed with the detail in the transmission. The panel liner really jazzes this up. I hope this is in focus. How about if I bring it up a little bit here and try to get it in focus on my hand? So the panel liner really did a bunch of detail with that. And if you look on the other side, it even has the mold stamp on it. So how cool is that? So just a little panel liner, and it really blasts that thing out to where you can see what you got in there for detail. I ended up painting the linkage, the flat aluminum also, just because I really didn't know what else to do with it. And then I panel lined it too. Here's another thing I'm very happy with, are the valve covers. And what I did with these is I painted the whole thing, every part of it, with my real black. And people are saying they can't find this. I got this thing, it was $1.99 forever ago. But the apple barrel flat black does exactly the same as this. So I painted it with that, and then I just took a toothpick, while it wasn't all the way dry yet, but almost dry. I took a toothpick and I just ran it across the high points and dragged that extra paint off of there, and that's what we got left. So can't ask for much more than that, huh? One of these came out way better than the other, but needless to say, both of them look pretty dang good in my book. So let me move those out of the way over next to the body so I don't destroy them too. Zach, you got to move too, buddy. I painted the coils semi-gloss black, and then took flat aluminum with my old flat brush and just ran it up this way. Just basically dry brushed the coil, and then I turned around and I ran it the other way. So if you look this way or that way, you can still see the flat aluminum in there. Let me bring that up so you can see it better. See it up, no matter which way you look at it, you can still see it. And that's because I dry brushed it going down and up. So it got the paint on both sides of that coil. So there's that. Here's our suspension, or our steering linkage. I painted this rubber black and then semi-gloss black. I'm gonna have to go online and look to see if that is semi-gloss black. I just kind of took a shot in the dark with it, and then I went around. I painted the little boots here black, and then I put panel liner on everything, and it really made everything pop. So there's the steering. We're in with the starter. Y'all know I love to do starters. Not a lot of detail in this one, but it's good enough to where when it's buried in there, it'll show up nice. So there's that. And now, here's our suspension. And then again, just semi-gloss black. And then flat aluminum. I did the boots black with the rubber black. I did the mounting brackets with what I did first on these, and nobody's going to ever know it, but I'm going to tell you because you'll never even be able to see it, is I painted the whole thing on both sides with rubber black. And then I painted over the top of that with semi-gloss black. And to be honest with you, unless I have my visor on with both lenses down, you can't tell that. But what I was trying to do was make the rubber boot in between the sway bar and the bracket. I was just playing around. I had a little bit of extra time left before the dryer was done. So there's that. We're cooking right along here. I got my belt painted up. It's doing pretty good. I need to panel line that aluminum on there. The seats, the only thing I've done is I painted the little chrome strips that are on the seat backs. I did that on that, and I did it on the back seat too. And I got a little wild on this side, so I came back with the semi-gloss black and cleaned it up. And you can see just a little bit, it's got a different gloss to it because I didn't airbrush it, I hand painted it. But when that's in the car, you will never see it. Let me see here, where are we with something that's I am extremely happy with? My rims. I painted all the black in here again with the accent color, and the reason why I did that is if I made a mistake, I could clean it up. And believe it or not, I even told the wife that this was one of the few times that my hand was so rock steady that I was able to get in here and even paint these lines in between the spokes without ever, I never had to come back and clean up on either side. And that just never happens. So it took me over an hour to do, well, it took me about an hour and a half to do all four of them. So I was working real slow and meticulous, but it came out so cool. And then I took my clear orange, and I hope you can see that, but in the center, I hit it with the clear orange, and I went around the Cobra. So the Cobra is still chrome in there, believe it or not. It's hard to tell, but it is. So these rims came out really cool. So there's that. And now on the flip side of looking really good, my disc brakes looked really nice until I went to do the panel liner, and it just kind of globbed on, and I thought it'd mellow out when it dried, but believe it or not, it got worse. So I'm going to go over here real light with the red again and hide the panel liner that's this gaudy in there. I know they're not going to be able to be seen at all, but I'll know they're there, so I'm going to go over top of them. They're bad, very bad. So there's that. Steering column. I chromed the shifter and the starter. I got to come back and do a little touch up. I got carried away right here on the top. Jesus, let me get into the frame here. I got carried away a little bit in the top here, so I got to come back and paint this black. I missed it. But that Molotow pen sure made that shifter look good. So we got that. And again, like I said, I am ready to go with wiring the engine. The engine, I drilled the holes. I got my exhaust manifolds painted. The paint that I use on these is metallic gray. And that, I love this paint for exhaust. I think that's all I use this for now, is for the exhaust headers. Just because it's like the perfect color for them. The shifter linkage came out pretty cool too, I think. But again, back to the exhaust manifolds. I think I'm going to hold off attaching these until I get the wires sticking straight. You know how I do them. I'll have them sticking straight out. And then I'll bring that exhaust manifold down there and glue it in place and just let it sit for a while until it's dry. I'm not in any hurry to get this done by any means. I am a very patient person when it comes to letting things sit and dry. So I'll glue those on, and then I'll work back over. I'll get, I'll have my valve covers on first. And then what I'll do is I'll run these all up, and what I'm going to do is run them all, bunch them all together right about here over the valve cover. And I'm going to take some of my foil tape and I'm going to wrap that in foil tape and then come over to the distributor, and that'll give it like the illusion of having a little holder for the wires, I hope. We'll, we'll see. Again, I've never done that before either, but I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I do have to get this radiator wire, or the radiator hose, heater hose, run up and over here first after I get the valve covers on, just so I know where it's going to be before I go ahead and I do my heater hoses. The vacuum line, it'll take 2 seconds to run one around here, and what I'm going to do is I'll probably do these in black anyhow, so it'll match. So we're going to be good to go there. That's all there is to this. If you want me to do a wiring video for the Ford engine, I've done the Plymouth engine and I've done a Chevy engine now, but I haven't done a Ford engine, so I'll probably go ahead and just, as I'm doing it, do a video on it. It doesn't take a whole lot more. Oh, I did drill out the coil, so that's going to come up and around and in here too. So, and I've seen a bunch of pictures with the coil with the orange on it like that. So that's why we're there with that. And with that, geez, I guess this is going to be another short video. I apologize for that, but I did get a lot done for a short time. The last thing I did, and I'll bring you for this, and then we'll call it quits, is got my battery box painted. I painted it gloss this time, with a semi-gloss on the riser on both sides, and then I used the flat aluminum here and titanium silver for the top on this, just to give it a little bit of life in there. And then I came in on an angle and I drilled a hole here and I drilled a hole here for the cables. And I'll put the cables in and glue them, and then I'll come back and I'll paint which one's supposed to be red and which one's supposed to be black. I'm not even sure where this sits on in the chassis right now, or in the body right now, to where which one should be which. I'm pretty sure this one's supposed to be the red, and it's just going to run over to the fender wall where I have the Ford has that ignition coil thing on here, and I'll run it over to that, and then I'll run a wire down to the starter from there, and then the ground wire I'll just run down and over and tie it in right here somewhere on the block. So that's the battery, and that's about it for tonight. So I thank you for watching. Thanks for the thumbs up, the high fives, the comments, suggestions. The Hays don't do that anymore. And I will see you soon. So y'all have a great day.